Good evening, guys, and welcome to another episode of the ARCA Racing Podcast presented by Menards. I am your host, Starton Parker, aka Colby Evans. I want to first off apologize. I was having some internet issues last night, so we couldn't do the show last night. I was going to do just a Backmarker Battles episode tonight, but we got a huge show for you guys today. It's going to be well over an hour, so if you got a lot of time on your Thursday night, I thank you guys for joining me. We got a lot to go over. We got some ARCA races to go over, an interesting situation in the truck series to go over, and some backmarker battles that I'm glad to bring back after it being going away for a couple months. And all this and much more. Again, guys, thank you for joining me. Of course, follow me on social media at Starton Parker. You guys know the drill. We recently hit over 310 subs. Let's get that number up even more. I can't thank you guys enough for the support. Hope you guys checked out the recent Cabin Counselor video. He was another past ARCA driver that we lost way too early. So I strongly suggest you guys go check out that video. Got some more content videos coming out soon. Just been very busy lately, but I'm trying my best. Anyway, let's get right into the action. We'll start off with the ARCA races. As you guys know, I was involved with the Iowa race this weekend with Brad Smith. I wanted to get this one out of the way first because it's kind of a longer one. Then we'll get to Sonoma. And then we'll go over Berlin. So that's kind of how the ARCA stuff's going to go. So again, I'm with Brad Smith again. It was a lot of fun back at Kansas. I was happy to find out that we were running the whole race at Iowa because I was a little worried, a lot of times with Brad, especially with the way, the costs are now. I was worried that we would start in park because, last year we did start in park at Iowa, but luckily we didn't. We had 3 people. We had me and 3 other crew members with us. And I'm like, that's enough people. If we have that many people, that's more than enough to run the whole distance. Got through tech. It did rain on us through tech. We were able to get through cleanly. Everyone got through cleanly. It was great seeing all my friends. It was great seeing Alex. It was great seeing Zachary. It was great seeing Uncle Wayne. Just again, the livelihood, the mood is so good in the ARCA garage. I just cannot express it. Everyone is a family. Big Bill, he's there on his scooter saying hi to everyone. Even Billy says hi to everyone. And there's Wayne just smiling all the time, telling stories. Everybody's just in a good mood. It's a fun atmosphere to be in. I cannot describe it enough. I have to get it on camera sometime, but we're just so busy that, there's no time to do it. But, yeah, so we got through tech. Got up to practice. Unfortunately, just after practice, I think that's when the rain came. We were only going to go out and do a couple of practice laps. I hope you guys did enjoy the fact we actually had some Penske rims on the car, so I thought that was kind of cool. We had, not only do we have a Penske chassis, but we got former Penske red rims. I posted pictures of the years. I think one of them was a 2009 David Stremme rim, and the other one was a Sam Hornish 2008 rim. So I will say this, though. The red rims on our red car looked really nice. For the Iowa race itself, we actually had a pretty decent-sized entry list. We had the same amount of cars that showed up last year, 23. We were scheduled to have a 24th entrant. The 7 of Eric Caudell was supposed to run this race, but unfortunately, as you guys know, due to the horrific crash that he suffered at Talladega, Eric, unfortunately, has not healed from his injuries yet. We all wish him here at ARCA Racing Podcast. We all wish him the best. We want to see Eric back in the car. We want to see CCM Racing back at the track. So that was kind of sad to find out that CCM Racing was planning on running Iowa, but unfortunately, due to Eric's injuries, were forced to sit out. But they will be back next year, which is good to know. So that left us with 23. Now, I had originally said on the preview show that I thought that all the cars would would run the whole race. Obviously, that was just my interpretation. I got to the track and was told very early that not everyone was running the whole distance. In tech, I was actually able to catch up with Zachary Tinkle. Love Wayne. They were parked right next to us in the ARCA garage. Open trailer. So the rain's falling, and there's the 06 just sitting in an open trailer getting rained on. And I'm like, dang, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 race car just sitting there in the rain. But I understand, you don't have an enclosed trailer. What are you supposed to do? So yeah, I was able to talk to Zachary Tinkle, and he openly stated they were there for owner points. Run a couple laps, maybe finish ahead of one car and get some owner points, get the $1,500, and go home. They literally had, it was Zachary, his parents, Uncle Wayne, and my good friend Nate Moeller, who is the crew chief and does driving sometimes. That was literally their entire crew. Now, Nate's a great friend of mine. Wayne is just the best, and I've really gotten to know Zachary really good on a personal level. And this kid, and I'm not kidding you guys, Zachary Tinkle's the real deal. I really want to see this kid in some good equipment. What he's done in Wayne's equipment, imagine him in a Venerini car. Zachary Tinkle, guys, I want you to keep an eye out on that kid. Very nice and a very good driver. Also come to find out the 0-1, I thought Stephanie would be running the whole race, but was told by a fast track crew member that she would be pulling in early and that the 10 car of Tanner Allen would be running to just the first stage, 50 laps, because we run, 50, 50, 50 for the stages. Even though we don't actually do stage points, it's the modified pit stops. So those were our start and parks tonight. Was a little disappointed, but again, I understand start and parking's part of ARCA. So we got to practice, not shockingly, Venerini, Gibbs, they're the fastest. Sammy Smith put up the best lap, not by much, only by just over 2/10 over Jesse Love. Daniel Dye was third. Taylor Gray was fourth. Connor Jones was the best of the Venerini bunch, at least the rookies, beating Jonathan Schaefer. Brandon Jones, surprisingly, all the way down in seventh. And the two Rev cars. This was the one race, other than the road courses, that I was a little skeptical for the Rev racing cars because they hadn't really shown that kind of speed on these older tracks, or these kinds of tracks, I mean. And it really showed, Raja and Nick were only 8th and 9th. And I'm like, man, if this is a real opportunity for some of these guys to close in on them in the points championship. And as we would come to find out in the race, they tried to get them in the points championship, but they had their own issues. Rev's still leading the points championship, but they got kind of lucky. We were, of course, the slowest. 22 cars went out. The only car I did not take a practice lap. Don't quite know which one it was. Not off the top of my head. We went out and literally were just going to go run 2 laps. Unfortunately, the 27 of Tim Richmond wrecked. It was really sad. It was great seeing his father, great seeing the team. Tim Richmond's a close friend. So it really sucked because they really have good equipment. Tim Richmond and Richmond Racing have really invested into good equipment. It's just they've hardly had any luck this year. And unfortunately, it bit them again. The front suspension was hurt pretty badly. The rear of the car was able to get shaped back out, but it was the front suspension that was really, really hurt on the car. And although they got it fixed, you guys saw the picture on social media, unfortunately was told by a Richmond Racing crew member to avoid any further damage because, Iowa Speedway is really hard on equipment. It's an old track. They were just going to go ahead and literally run 1 lap and then pull her in. So that was a shame right there. Like I said, we ended up 22nd. Zachary ended up 21st because he wasn't pushing it either. They were starting, parking, of course. D.L. Wilson was 20th. Stephanie Moyer was 19th, and Tanner Allen was 18th. All the Andy Hillenberg cars were kind of together from 17th to 20th in their order. But it was looking at a very competitive field tonight. It was definitely going to be a battle between either Jesse Love or the 2 Gibbs Busch entries. Now, unlike what I thought that they were going to do, it didn't really make sense to me why we had a separate practice and qualifying session when we've seen a lot of times ARCA just does a practice qualifying session at the exact same time. I don't know why we didn't do this here, especially with the rain in the forecast. So 6 p.m. comes. The rain is on the way. The track, it is dark. It is not looking good at all, guys. And yet somehow we hear the engines fire up. We're sitting in the ARCA garage area. Brad's not thinking that it's going to start. And all of a sudden we hear the engines fire up and we're like, oh, we're actually going. So, Brad, he was still dressed. Brad got on the car and literally just, if not 2 minutes after he had gotten off the track, the rain came. But we still got almost everybody qualifying. I think 22 of the 23 entries posted a qualifying lap. Tim Richmond's car was the only one that didn't. I believe they did actually try, though, to get on the track. But as Tim was on the track, that's when the rain started to come in. And maybe that's the reason why they start and parked, because, I don't know if Tim got a good feel of the car, because the start of the race would have been his first laps in the crashed car. So it was kind of hard to judge, because they probably were going to use that qualifying session as like a mini practice session. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do that. I do want to shout out Club Racing, my friend Alex Club. Those guys and gals busted their tails. The car, as we know, that car was wrecked at Charlotte by Josh White. They somehow fixed that car in 2 weeks. They had issues in tech. They had motor issues. And yet somehow out of all of that, we're able to get on track for qualifying, run a couple laps as a mini practice session, and get the car ready to go. So big props to that 03 team. Those guys busted their butts. And I'm proud to call a lot of those people on that team great friends. Alex, he's just your average hardworking guy who loves to race. Really good friend, and I'm glad that that team was able to get on the track. But Jesse Love, in a shocker, won the pole, I would say. I was not expecting him to win the pole, and was definitely not expecting Sammy Smith to not even qualify in the top 5. Jesse Love was on the pole. Daniel Dye was second. Connor Jones, surprisingly fast again, in third. Taylor Gray was fourth. Brandon Jones was only fifth. And Sammy Smith all the way down in ninth. Other notable entries, Connor Mosek was in sixth. The two ladies, or the three ladies, I should say, Amber Balkin was 14th. Tony Breidinger was 15th. Stephanie Moyer was 17th. Like I said, we got out again for qualifying. Brad didn't want to hurt the tires, so we just took it very easily in qualifying. Of course, we don't have many tires to work with, so we just wanted to take it easy. But Jesse Love was on the pole, man, and I'm like, man, they got a good car tonight. So it really looked like we were in for a huge battle between Venerini and Gibbs, and I guess you could say KBM, even though basically the same exact team. And then just maybe Taylor Gray and Daniel Dye, the Ford and Chevrolet organizations, were going to sneak in there. And once again, though, it looked like it was going to be a long night for Rev, because Raja was only 11th. Sanchez was only 8th. It was not going to be a good weekend for Rev. They did not show winning speed. They were over 3 to 4 tenths off what the Toyotas were running. So race time comes, but like I said, guys, literally right as qualifying ended, the rain came, and it came down hard. We were really worried that the race was going to get canceled. We were told by ARCA officials that had the race been called, we would have ran it Sunday morning at noon. Nobody wanted to come back because it was going to be hotter, and the humidity was just horrible. Everybody wanted to get this race in, even if it meant racing at 1 a.m, which we were. As for us, we just kind of sat in the trailer, eating sandwiches. And I got to say, guys, probably one of the coolest parts of that day was not even working on the car. It was sitting in the Brad's trailer, listening to Brad and Wayne tell racing stories. And I even put a tweet out saying, man, if there is a man who needs a documentary about himself, it's Wayne Peterson. That is the best history teacher I've ever listened to. The stories that I can barely understand half the stuff he's saying, but the words that you can make out, Wayne is just, he's the best. I call him Uncle Wayne because, he's like the uncle y'all loved, or the grandfather y'all love. And him just telling war stories, you just sit there and you're just mesmerized, like what this man went through. And he's still here, and he's got the memory good enough to tell his story. I really want to do an interview with this man sometime, but I cannot stress enough, guys. It was amazing. If there was the better way to pass the time by, I didn't know what it was. Sitting there and telling Brad and Wayne, or hearing Brad and Wayne tell racing stories, it was a great way to pass the time. We eventually got the call. The track was starting to dry. They got the jet dryers out. We didn't have any Air Titans. We had the old school jet dryers. Then they had some of the work vehicles running the laps around the track to, get heat in the track. We got cars stationed. The plan was we were going to line them up first, all the way to 23rd in the garage area behind each car. The drivers were going to be strapped in, no formal driver introductions. And they're basically going to drive right out to pit road and then go on to the pace laps. So all the crew members, all of us suited up, got in our gear, and we got Brad all ready. But then we weren't the only one. Everybody ran into a problem. The humidity was horrible, and everybody's windshields, even the good teams, everybody's windshields started to fog up. Nobody could see crap. It was weird. Everybody just constantly, every minute, trying to wipe down these windshields, trying to make sure people can see, and nobody can see. I think that was one of the reasons why we were stalled for so long, is nobody could see out of their windshield. We would clean it off, and then 3 seconds later, it would fog back up. You guys know what I'm talking about. It was just brutal, man. And then finally, we got to a situation where people got the all clear that they could all see out of their windshields. We finally got going, walked out to our pit stall. We were in pit stall 33, in case anyone wanted to know. And finally, I don't even know what time it was, finally got the race going. So pit stall 33, race got going. Of course, you know, the 27 did his 2 laps. Sucked to see their day end so early. The early lead went to Jesse Love. He led the first 36 laps. During that, we did have a couple of cautions. We had the 06 of Tinkle spun, which was a little concerning because I'm like, you know, that Ford, you know, is pretty damaged. They're not really going to have enough time to get to that car, maybe even until the end of the season, and the Ford might not return until next season. And I gave an update, unfortunately, for everyone who loved the steel body Dodge, the blue Dodge, then the white Dodge. You know, that Wayne Peterson had, it is no more. The blue Dodge has been cut up. I know, you're all sad. I'm sad too. The blue Dodge has been cut up. The white Dodge has all been cut up. And the chassis will be converted into a Toyota chassis for next season. Once I get pictures and get permission from the team, I will gladly post them. But for now, I'm respecting their privacy. Obviously, they're hardworking and they like to keep their stuff private. Totally understandable. That's just how the game works. But I thought I would give those updates that Peterson for next year looks like he'll have about 3 race-ready cars. And that's always good to see. Even at his age, 84 years old, Wayne Peterson's still in this business as good as he possibly can be in. So that happened. The 03, we already went a lap down in 10 laps. You know, like I said, we were on the same tires. We were on like about 25 lap scuffs. We had a sticker right front because, you know, Iowa Speedway is hard on the right fronts. So we had a decent set of tires on the car for what we were going. Like I said, but we still went a lap down early. We ran another 15 laps, and then another caution had come out, the 11 of Bryce Houchberg spun. He got it going again. Luckily, no damage for him. On that restart, though, we did have a lead change. Our first lead change of the night, Sammy Smith would get by. Jesse Love take over the lead. And then we had a quick 14-lap stint to the first break. During that break, the 01 of Stephanie Moyer had parked. And then, of course, the 10 of Tanner Allen had parked. Those were planned starting parks. Unfortunately, during them, the 12 of Dick Doney had to come down pit road. And I guess it was determined that they had a battery issue, but unfortunately, who was a full race contender, D.L. Wilson. D.L. Wilson came down pit road, and that car was eventually retired for the night. It was a rough night for Andy Hillenberg. 3 of his 4 cars out before they even got the second break started. So by the time the second break started, we were already down to just 18 cars. So as the second break got going, Sammy Smith continued to lead, and you could hear it. I even had headphones on, but I could hear it. That 17 car sounded horrible. I don't know if they lost a cylinder or what happened, but you could hear it. It just sounded like junk. It wouldn't go down the straightaways, but the 17 would gain it all back in the corners, is how I would see it. He was crap on the straightaways, but he would gain it back in the corners, probably because running almost wide open, honestly, with how slow he was going. But eventually, I think it maybe died just too much for him. And about 12 laps after they got going up to the stage, the 17 of Taylor Gray retired due to an engine failure, which was a shame because he was a race-winning contender. And I will say, up close, the new Ford Mustang body looks great. So going back up to the leaders, Sammy Smith was continuing, but then experience came through. Brandon Jones on lap 82 took the lead, would hold it for only 12 laps. We had a caution come out. It seems like just after the 17 had went to the garage, the 43 then, it sounded bad. And it was starting to show just tiny signs of smoke. About 3 laps before it blew up, I saw it go by, and I'm like, that ain't good. And sure enough, not 3 laps later, kaboom! 43 blew up. So our 2 non-Toyota competitive entries were done for the night. Unfortunately for us, poor Brad was behind the 43, so his entire windshield and the entire nose got just caked. And oil, fluid, whatever the heck was coming out of that 43 car was now all over our windshield. So poor Brad, I mean, you mix the humidity, he could barely see out of that car. It was, despite running the whole race, it was an eventful night for us. Don't think that we're out there just having a good Saturday night drive. Brad had to struggle through sight the entire race. So then after that caution, it was lap 95. We only had a couple of cars that had fallen out by that point. We still had 16 cars left on the track, which, like I said, wasn't all that great. I do think it hurt the racing a little bit. We still had a lot of competitive cars still out there. Got the race back going again. Sammy Smith actually retook the lead for 1 lap. And then Jesse Love made a really, really surprising move. Got a great run off of turn 4. Took the lead again from Sammy Smith. But, guys, those Gibbs cars, KBM cars, they're hard to beat. And sure enough, here came Sammy Smith back crawling again. Took the lead with 36 laps to go. And we thought it was just going to sail off. But then just like, you could say Charlotte, experience came running from behind. And Brandon Jones took the lead. He took the hometown win. I think that's probably hurt the most. Sammy Smith from Johnston, Iowa. 19 laps to go. His teammate, you could say, takes the win. During this time, though, update on us, the luck had kind of run out for Alex Clubb. Unfortunately, they lost a rear seal or rear gear. Something had went wrong with the rear of the car, and it was smoking. And again, Brad's windshield got caked up so badly that we had to pit. We actually had to make a green flag pit stop because Brad just could not see. And a little bit of a funny note, guys. Brad came down pit road. I got my helmet and stuff on, and I got my rag, wiping down the windshield. My foot is in front of the left front tire. I know it is. And I'm like, God, if he goes, he's going to run over my foot. So I'm wiping the windshield. I don't have a radio on. So I'm wiping down the windshield, and I hear him shift. And just not a second later, I get my foot out, and he just goes sliding past us in the pits. Had I been 1 second too late, I probably would be sitting right here with you guys with a broken left foot. So that's kind of the funny part about the whole thing. I was literally this close to having a broken left foot. So, yeah, there's your funny moment for the show. But nonetheless, we got back out on track, finished the race. But that wasn't the end of the drama. Contender Jesse Love would unfortunately fall out with just 5 laps to go with an apparent battery issue. And it was a real shame, too, because they arguably had the second or third best car of the whole night. Really sucked for them because the 20 cars we know is currently leading the Owners' Championship right now, and that, pays the most. The Drivers' Championship, for guys who don't know, really pays almost nothing. The Owners' Championship is where the real money comes in the ARCA series. And so once again, in the past couple weeks, the 20 car has taken a real hit in the owner standings. Jesse Love would end up in the final run standings 13th, while a lot of the more competitive entries finished as high as, the top 5. Our final rundown, Brandon Jones, if I didn't say it earlier, cruised to victory, easy win. 2 for 2 for the 81 team of Brandon Jones. Sammy Smith was second. Connor Mosak got a solid third-place finish. Shout out to Jonathan Schaefer for being the highest Venerini entry. That was not expected. Connor Jones was fifth. Leland Honeyman with a very solid sixth-place finish. Nick Sanchez with I would say, really a disappointing seventh. Greg Van Alst was eighth. Shout out to Ron Vandermeer Jr. for getting a ninth. Amber Balkan, another top 10 for her. Tony Breidinger was 11th. Raja Caruth, who had just an ill-handling car. They had to pit under green for a tire. He finished 12th and did lose the points lead. We will go over that in a second. Raja Caruth was 11th. Jesse Love was 13th. Bryce Houchberg was 14th. Brad Smith, were 15th. So a top 15 finish for us. Only 14 would actually finish the race. Alex Clubb was 16th. Daniel Dye was 17th. Taylor Gray was 18th. D.L. Wilson was 19th. Tanner Allen was 20th. Stephanie Moyer was 21st. Zachary Tinkle was 22nd. And our last car, Tim Richmond, was 23rd. Overall, I would definitely give this race a recommendation. Kind of sad that we only had about 4,000 people in the stands. This was a really good race. A lot of people say, Iowa deserves, I want this track to keep going. It's great racing. That was an amazing race we saw. By ARCA standards, with only 23 cars, very, very good race. Easily give it an 8 out of 10. Easily. And these opportunities, man, cannot thank Brad Smith Motorsports enough. And just to let you guys know, I did not leave the track till 2:30 in the morning. So, yeah, it was a long day for the Colbster. 2:30 in the morning is when I finally left the track. I was the last one to leave. I got a quiet track picture like Jeff Gluck usually does. And when I say, guys, man, by the time I had left, they started turning off the lights. And I don't think there's anything creepier than being in a racetrack that's just dark. It was really weird. It was cool, but really weird. So anyway, guys, that was the Iowa portion. Our point standings following that event are this. Nick Sanchez has taken the lead, but it is a tie with Raja Caruth. But because I believe Nick Sanchez has a win this season, that would warrant him the tiebreaker, or 2 wins, that would warrant him the tiebreaker. So Rev is tied. Daniel Dye's engine failure didn't help anything in the points. He is third, minus 12. Tony Breidinger is fourth, minus 45. Amber Balkan is fifth, minus 49. Greg Van Alst is sixth, minus 54. Zachary Tinkle is seventh, minus 88. And our man, Brad Smith, the last full-timer, is eighth, minus 96. As for the owner standings, like I said, guys, the 20 car took a big hit in the points. Still leading, might I add, still leading the points, but they did lose a lot of their lead. It is now down to just 7 points. So Max Siegel, not only is he really winning the Drivers' Championship right now, Max Siegel, both of his entries, who are also tied in the owner's points, are closing in on Billy Venturini's 20 car. So we got ourselves a heck of an owner's championship battle coming. The owner's championship battle has Billy Venturini in first with a 20 car. The 2 Siegel entries, the 43 is in fourth, minus 19 points. The 15 Venturini entry is in fifth, minus 27 points. And the KBM 18 car, with one I told you guys, is still 34 points. 34 points outside of the owner's championship lead. I just don't think that's enough margin. That's not a big enough margin to conquer. It's going to be tight, man. But if KBM wants to win that owner's championship in their first year, they got a big, big hole to dig out of. And with the short fields that are coming in the next couple weeks, it's going to be really hard for them to gain points. But anyway, guys, that is the Iowa portion of this review. I'm going to take a drink of water, and then we're going to get on to Sonoma. Again, guys, I thank you for joining me. We got 7 people watching right now. Thank you guys for joining me. We only got 2 likes, so if a couple of you guys could give more likes, it'd be much appreciated. We had another round of ARCA West action from Sonoma. This is one of the wild card ARCA West races. Usually gets a big entry list. race number 5 of the championship. Was happy to see that we had more entries than last year. We only had 22 last year. We had 24 this year. Unfortunately, the 80 of Brian Comiskey withdrew, didn't start the race. I don't think he ran an entire lap the entire weekend. So that put us down to 23. Obviously, they don't have, practice and then qualifying. It's just a practice qualifying session. Kind of uneventful. A couple cars took a slide. Nick Yonadi's, he actually had one of the funnier qualifying laps. He started his lap, but then went to go sit in the pits. So his lap technically was still going time and time. Finally went around again to complete it. So Nick Jonadi's 77 car completed a lap of 12 minutes, which I thought was funny. But yeah, Paul Pedroncelli, he didn't take a practice qualifying lap. Being told that the 80 actually did take a practice qualifying lap, Brian Comiskey, but they did not start the race. Again, I was in Iowa that day, so I'm not sure what actually happened to them. Maybe they crashed. Maybe they blew an engine. I never knew. I didn't know what happened. I don't believe Brock Beard reported on it either. If he did, someone could let me know, but I'm not sure what happened to the 80 to kick him out of the race, unfortunately. Not shockingly at all, Jake Drew won the pole. One of the real controversy, though, that came out of the ARCA West race was Todd Souza. If you guys follow my friend Diego Alvarado on Twitter, he posted a picture of Todd Souza's rear window. As you know, the rear windows in ARCA and NASCAR have the driver's last name on it. Well, Todd Souza certainly had an interesting choice for his rear name decklid. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want you guys to get mad, but let's just say he's a political figure that a lot of people don't like. I'll just put it like that. He had that name on the back of his car, and it was kind of puzzling because ARCA rules usually say that you have to have your real last name on the back of the car. But as we would come to see during the race in a close-up shot, they did actually change it to Todd Souza. So yeah, Jake Drew was on the pole. Landon Lewis was in second. Quarterman, Dale Quarterly in third. What a great sight to see. Todd Souza was fourth. Austin Herzog was fifth. My man PJ Pedroncelli was down in eighth. Joey East was down in 10th. We had some truck ringers. Colby Howard was 11th. Dean Thompson was 12th. And I believe the other one was Jack Wood. And the weird thing about Jack Wood is Jack Wood, I watched this race. He was driving a Toyota. I'm like, what? Why is Jack Wood driving a Toyota in the West Series when he's a Chevrolet driver? That really didn't make any sense to me. And if you looked at the vehicle, it didn't even have the Toyota sticker on it. So it's like maybe they were trying to get by without people noticing. But that was really weird to me that a Chevrolet driver and Jack Wood would be driving a Toyota in the ARCA West race. The 40 car, it didn't specify which team that came from, but I did see that watching the race, some crew members from the Bruce Cook Racing team were helping that car. So then I just kind of put two and two together. I guess that was a car out of the Bruce Cook Racing stable, which is probably why it ran so good. Bruce Cook builds a good car. So yeah, other notables, Eric Nascimento's team had 2 entries this week in the 4 of Sebastian Arias and Eric himself in the 04. We did have a couple of Gen 4 fiberglass body cars in the field, which is always fun to see. The 77 of Yonadi's, the 7 of Koga, the 4 of Arias, the 54 of East, I believe were the only cars to have Gen 4 bodies. It's always cool seeing the Gen 4 body come back because, like you guys and like me, it's one of my all-time favorite NASCAR body designs and a design I wish would come back. So the race started. Again, guys, I couldn't watch this live because I was in Iowa, of course, but I did watch the rerun. Jake Drew obviously just took off to an enormous lead. Class of the field, you could say, with this road racing background. Kind of an full start, a lot of jostling in the pack. But Jake Drew did take the early lead with Landon Lewis in second. Dale was in third. PJ Pedroncelli's father, Paul, he did run the whole race here last year, but unfortunately after 2 laps, like he's been doing mostly this season, doing the start and park in the 31 after 2 laps. So that was our first entrant off, and then our first caution came 8 laps into the race. By that point, the 39 of Andrew Tuttle, poor Andrew, he's had a rough go the last couple of races. He stopped, got turned. I think he turned himself around in the last corner, got it going. But then we had our first caution, the 77 of Nick Yonadais for the Joe Nava team, the PP1 Motorsports team. Had an apparent mechanical issue. It was one of our Gen 4 fiberglass body cars. They were done for the day, unfortunately. Pretty much ever since Takuma Koga left with his sponsorship dollars, that 77 team has been really struggling. They've been through a lot of drivers and really just haven't had any luck. Really no luck, no competitiveness, which sucks because it is a good team. They really do try their best. So that took us down to 21 cars early. They got the track cleaned up pretty quickly, went back to green on lap 13. Jake Drew's continuing to lead. 2 laps later, unfortunately, the 85 of Vince Little got turned around. He couldn't get it going, so we had another caution. And that just kind of prompted a constant strain of cautions, that can kind of plague the ARCA West series and kind of like the truck series that I feel like overall hurt the flow of the actual race. Sorry, guys, we're getting a little parched. But yeah, continuing on, the 40 was the free pass because they did go a lap down at the previous caution trying to get something done on the car. 5 laps later, we had our biggest incident so far of the race. By this point, though, the 6 of Jake Drew had pitted. You were not allowed to take tires unless it was an absolute emergency. And I do like that rule. I think this was a good idea by the West Series because, as we know, the real-world issues that we're seeing right now have just skyrocketed the cost, especially on the West Coast. And I think a very smart decision by, ARCA is to hey, why don't you guys just go the whole race on one sit? And if you guys need tires, make it emergency. I like that. It saves these teams that tire money. And in reality, it takes down the costs quite a bit. So I do appreciate that move from ARCA, saving the teams money in a way that they actually need it. And it does improve the competitive levels, too, for the lower teams who can afford more tires. But yeah, Jake Drew had pitted at the lap 18 caution. Todd Souza had took the lead for a lap. But then, Jake would pit at the next caution. Sorry about that. Todd Souza would get the lead surprisingly for a lap, but then Jake Drew would reclaim the lead very quickly, leading 5 more laps. And then the caution at lap 23 is when he would actually pit. That caution consisted of the 68 of Rod Nealand and the 88 of Bridget Burgess getting together. And I will say some unwarranted contact. Bridget Burgess not getting off the 68, turning the 68, and just Sebastian Arias nowhere to go and plowed into each other and plowed into the tire bearers. Really unnecessary by the 88 of Burgess. I know she's better than that. I know she's a better driver than that. And I took a little exception to that. She's better than that. And I hate that, for Rod Nealand. He doesn't have a lot of money. He's an independent. This race was really rough on the independents. A lot of them really struggled in this race. Rod Nealand would get out of the car and be very mad at Sebastian Arias for some reason when Sebastian wasn't even around them. He was literally behind them. He did nothing wrong. Rod Nealand was yelling at the wrong person. But either way, the 68 was destroyed. He was out. The 4, he was out. So, we were just eliminating cars left and right in this race. It was then that Jake Drew pitted. Landon Lewis and Dale Quarterly would stay out. They would resume the leaders. The race would resume on lap 34 when in just 2 laps, the 86 of Tim Spurgeon, he had contact in turn 1. That would bring out yet another caution. And at this point, then Landon Lewis and everyone else decided to finally take that time to come down pit road, where then Jake Drew would then resume the lead. 9 laps would go by, and I will say this 9 laps was arguably the best part of the entire race. We had just some amazing action. I mean, the 99 of Cole Moore and the 17 of Landon Lewis were side by side almost the entire lap. I mean, I'll go say, if you take out a lot of the shenanigans that went on with this race, the actual racing product itself was very good. These Gen 6 bodies still move around this track a lot better. I just think it's because they're not set up as hard as the Cup cars were. So, yeah, and then we had a debris caution. I don't know if it was a crush panel or a piece of sheet metal. It was just clear, so it might have just been a crush panel, but it was laying on the track. They had to throw a debris caution. It was a real debris caution. This was no phantom caution. They did have to throw it. So that bunched everybody back together. So that gave Landon Lewis another shot at Jake Drew. Unfortunately, we would go just one more lap until just calamity ensued. 3 wide into turn 11. I do think it was a little unnecessary by Colby Howard, especially with over 10 laps to go. He threw it in there, unfortunately. And both the 99 of Cole Moore and the 40 of the 99 of Cole Moore and the 17 of Landon Lewis. The 99 of Cole Moore and 17 Landon Lewis, sorry guys, would get turned around in the incident. Just really unnecessary roughness, in my opinion, right there. And the 40 would then plow into him. The 52 plowed into the 40, and then the 33 plowed into the 52. Calamity ensued. It really hated to see Ryan Philpott and PJ Pedroncelli, 2 independents, get taken out in that crash. And the caution came out for that, and they just kept riding under the caution. And then all of a sudden, it just ended. The race, I was listening to Charles Kral, seeing what he would say. He literally said nothing when they threw the checkered flag. I think he was just as confused as we were. But sure enough, that was it, the race. And then we found out later that it was due to time constraints. I do got to say, that did suck a little bit, having that kind of a race, end like that. Because, it was shaping up to be a good finish. But unfortunately, time constraints are time constraints. Here's a solution. Start the race earlier. I hate these time constraint issues when it could really be fixed by starting the race even just an hour earlier. But nonetheless, Jake Drew wins yet again, extends his points lead. One of my friends, Luis Torres, who does photography and PR, was there. And if you guys will bear with me for just a second, I'm going to pull up the interview he was able to get with winner Jake Drew. If I could just find it real quick. Just again, guys, bear with me for one quick second. I had these pulled up, and then unfortunately the internet had to reset my computer. Okay, guys, just trying to find these real quick. Again, guys, I thank you guys for tuning in. Apologize this is taking so long. Here we go. All right, so turn up. This is comments from winner Jake Drew.
Simply to say, how good is it to be on a roll now with back-to-back wins and 2 different unique road courses, of course, 2 different conditions. Now you're just on a roll.
It's awesome to be on a roll like this, and hopefully now we can go get one on the oval. We've been knocking on the door for many races now, and I think it's time to go knock that one off the list now too.
As we head through the summer, there's a stretch of races, different unique courses. Of course, you got Irwindale and then Evergreen, and then before not long back to Portland. What's going to be instrumental to get this team rolling? Because basically the only team that has won multiple races between you and Tanner.
Yeah, I think everything we're doing right now is everything we need to do. Everybody's working hard. Everybody's doing their part. The cards have been strong every time we show up. Both the drivers, myself and Tanner, are feeling good about everywhere we go. So I think we got a good. Either of us have a good shot right now.
For a brief moment, Todd had the lead, and then he wobbled in that scenario. The approach when you saw that happen going into 7.
Yeah, he got the lead there, and he had a strong restart, and maybe I didn't have my strongest there, and. But it was still pretty early in the race. It was time to just be cautious and remember big picture and at least get to the end of the race and battle for it. And he made that mistake there, which which was crucial. I mean, like I've been telling everybody, the saving the tires and everything was crucial. So to make big mistakes like that was something you couldn't do. So there were situations in the race where I felt I was just about to back off and let it go, but it all worked out in our favor.
And that was where post-race comments from race winner Jake Drew. Again, credit to Luis Torres, one of my good friends on social media. He's a great photographer. Also does a great job with PR. He got comments from Jake Drew. Again, congratulations to Sunrise Ford team. They are just kicking butt this year, whereas, McNally Racing has really struggled. The final race results were Jake Drew winning. Colby Howard will be credited with second. Quarterman Dale Quarterly with a third place finish. Shout out to that team. Great to see them get a good run. Jack Wood, again in a Toyota for some reason, ran fourth. Joey East was fifth. Austin Herzog was sixth. Eric Nascimento was seventh. Todd Souza was eighth. Tim Spurgeon, despite crashing, recovered to finish ninth. And Bridget Burgess finished 10th. Vince Little was 11th. Cole Moore went down all the way to 12th. Andrew Tuttle was 13th, and Landon Lewis was the last car running, down in 14th. The point standings show, man, it's really kind of smooth sailing right now for Jake Drew. He has a 35-point lead over Todd Souza in second place. Tanner Reff is down to third, minus 37. Cole Moore is in fourth, minus 38. And Austin Herzog is in fifth, minus 39. PJ Pedroncelli is in sixth, minus 47. Joey East is seventh, minus 54. And Takuma Koga is eighth, minus 57. I got to say, guys, man, we're, only just a little over, halfway into this season. And Jake Drew, man, is just dominating. He is just dominating. 35-point lead. And with these car counts not being very big, it's going to be very hard for this field to catch him. But yeah, that was kind of the ARCA West race. Really hated that the race ended like that because I feel like this race was shaping up for a good finish. But hey, you can't help time constraints. It's not the first time this has affected the West Series, and unfortunately probably won't be the last time as well. But if you do have time, guys, I strongly suggest you check them out. We'll provide you some fun, stupid, and weird entertainment as the ARCA series does. That's why we love it so much. One more crap at the owner points real quick. Of course, we all know Sunrise Ford is leading right now. Of course, Bob Rincati is first and third. Kelly Souza is in second. And Bill McAnally rounds out fourth and fifth. So those are the update on the owner points. Again, Bob Rincati right now is set for a big year. And I really hope he can continue this momentum for the rest of the season and rightfully get the championship that I feel like he got screwed out of last fall. So anyway, guys, we are back to the normal ARCA series once again. Got a lot to go over, guys. I'm sorry, but thanks for sticking with me. We still got 8 people watching. Thank you guys for keeping live with me. We are in Berlin this weekend for the ARCA Racing Series, the Zissner Smart Coat 200 at Berlin. And unfortunately, the entry list is not very good. Only 17 cars, the lowest field of the season. And honestly, guys, it's not shocking as to why. It really isn't. Berlin is very far away. It's up, it's kind of far away from me by about 10 hours east of me, I believe it is. It has not been known for its high car counts. Last couple years, it's really struggled. And this year's no different. Only 17 cars. Some driver change-ups for this weekend. No Peterson entry. Zachary Tinkle did confirm that for me. No Peterson entry here or Elko. So then Zachary Tinkle is then driving the 10 for Andy Hillenberg. Ed Pompa will be in the 11. And Tim Monroe will be in the 12. D.L. Wilson will take over the 0-1. Rita Thomason will make her debut. Former police officer will make her debut for Club Racing, which will be good to see. Tom Hazard III is back with Venerini Motorsports after 4 years. Dallas Fruet, never heard of this person, but he's driving for my good friends at Richmond Racing, so wish them the best of luck. And, of course, we got last year's race winner, Daniel Dye, also in the field as well. 17 cars in total. Look to be about 2 to 3 to start in parks. Again, guys, like I said, Berlin, not known for its big fields. The track is small enough, though, that it does compensate for a small field. It doesn't mean that we still can't have a great race. Definitely say, though, that this is back where the Rev teams can probably take over. I would really say it's an open slate this weekend. If you guys had to give a race-winning pick for this weekend, I'm just going to go out of the gate and say Tom Hezert. I think experience and the fact that Tom's back, he's got that experience. Tom Hezert's my pick for the race weekend. But in case you guys are just curious why, I'll show you guys why. The payouts right here, they're not good. We guys, it's very well documented the real world issues that are happening right now that are affecting the costs. And right now, first place with all the contingency awards is just $13,875, $6,000 for second, and $4,350 for third. That's, like, with all due respect, that's junk. Last place in this race pays just $1,000, $1,200 with the $200 flow racing bonus. So it's understandable why, races like Berlin and probably Elko won't get good car counts because it's just not worth it to go. But still doesn't mean we won't have a good race. It is the site of Daniel Dye's first win last season, so maybe this Chevrolet can pull off and finally get ARCA that win, get ARCA another win this season. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Venturini's got a great lineup this weekend. Like I said, guys, we went over the points championship earlier. The Rev teammates are tied. I would really say this is Daniel Dye's best opportunity to gain points, as, of course, this is the track he won at. So, again, guys, I'm hoping the best for this race. I don't have a lot of notes on this race. Again, though, I won't be live tweeting it because I will be in Knoxville this weekend at the truck race. So, like usual, I'll have to watch it post afterwards. But I have plenty of ARCA friends on here who will keep you coverage. Brett Whittingham is one of my good followers on social media. Well, he doesn't follow me, but we interact a lot. He'll be definitely there, covering the race. One of my friends was supposed to go there for media coverage for Berlin, but unfortunately cost issues affected that too. But again, guys, if you have the chance to watch this race, I do recommend it. I know most of you probably won't, though, because, SRX and the truck race and this race will all be going on at the exact same time. So, but if you are going to watch the ARCA race, I will thank you guys for that. I still think it's going to be a good race this weekend. I would expect at least maybe 3 to 4 starting parks. It's not looking good, but, these are the kind of the tough races of the ARCA season that, you just kind of want to get through. Then maybe we can get back to a bigger field, maybe at Pocono. Anyway, guys, that is the ARCA Racing podcast portion of this show. Don't go away. Please don't go away. We have some big news to get into. As you guys may have seen over the weekend, Glory to God Racing, G2G Racing, got themselves in quite a pickle with driver Travis McCllough. One of my good followers on social media, Matthew Burrows, wrote a great article about the struggles of the 47 team, and today we're going to go over it. The article is available online. I strongly recommend you guys check it out. I'm going to quote a lot of the article. I will leave a link to the article live in the description. And basically, Travis McCllough, he's your average blue-collar racer. He's a guy who loves to race. He's done road courses. He's even raced on the Southwest NASCAR Tour back in the late 2000s. He's used to being at NASCAR. He's even raced at Sonoma before, too. But we'll read the article to get some preview stuff. And then when we get to the track portion, we'll tell you a lot of stuff that Brock Beard and Travis himself talked about. So pulling over into the article portion, this is from the article itself saying that Travis McCllough got into with D2G on social media. Mostly through social media, McCllough was in contact with G2G Racing owner Tim Vines about getting a truck ready for the June Series race at Sonoma. Said Travis, everything looked good at the time. Social media is a great hiding for a lot of things, but everything looked like it was fitting into place for Tim Vines, and we were super great to talk to. While shopping around for a deal, what intrigued McCllough most about the G2G prospect was the extremely low crash clause. Some of you guys may know a lot of these teams that hire paid drivers will also include a crash clause where basically if you crash the truck, they ain't responsible for it. You are. So you hear a lot of these ARCA teams and truck teams and even Xfinity teams will have crash clauses where if that driver crashes, they got to pay for it, not the team. So yeah, in most cases of a rental drive, the driver will front amount of money to pay for the seat and also additional sum for a crash clause. While the appearance of these fees would be considered standard, the G2G crash clause dollar amount was far lower than any other team, according to McCllough. The crash clause is a lot of times higher than the rental fee to actually drive the truck, but G2G's was really affordable. Let's say it like that, said McCllough. We weren't looking to dump a ton of money into this, and I was excited just to get on track. After paying for the ride, but not yet the crash clause, and arriving at Sonoma on Friday of race weekend with sponsorship dignitaries in tow, Travis McCllough was ready to take on another swing at the big leagues of NASCAR. From nearly the first minute on the grounds of Sonoma Raceway, however, nothing went right. And no, it did not. The G2G made it sound like they were going to be low on guys. So I flew out some guys I knew and worked hard with to be up there and get the truck settled when we were ready to rock and roll. Haulers were set to arrive at 11 a.m. on Friday, but comes around time, the Glory to God hauler is not there. Not at noon, not at 1. It keeps getting promised, but Mason Felipe, the scheduled driver of the 46 G2G truck, and I are sitting there thinking the worst. We are just about to give up when finally the Glory to God hauler arrives at 2 o'clock. While not ideal, this was not a deal ender as there was theoretically enough time to get the truck through tech and ready for practice that day. As Travis's 47 truck was unloaded from the team hauler, however, an even bigger set of problems were discovered. Said Travis, missing pieces on the body, the motor was still torn down, electrical plugins not attached, brake system not ready, and not bled. Parts I had sent them for cooling were just sitting in the truck seat. G2G told us that it was to help the truck get there through inspection, but NASCAR took one look at the truck and said, what do you want us to do here? And let me just say that I've been through NASCAR tech enough times. If NASCAR officials say that, you're screwed. I've been through NASCAR tech enough times that you never want to hear that. So let's continue. In short, from his account, NASCAR looked at the 47 truck as it sat and informed McCllough that it was not ready to run through a technical inspection. G2G had just sent 2 crew chiefs, 2 employees, and a hauler driver for these 2 trucks. So think about that. 2 crew chiefs, 2 crew members, and the hauler driver. That's 5 people for 2 trucks. And, with all due respect, that is spreading yourself thin to the point where nothing can get done. And I'm not trying to be rude at that at all, but that is spreading yourself so thin to the point where how is anything on either truck supposed to be done correctly? Continuing on, my guys who had been in racing all their lives set out to get this truck ready. So Travis and his friends, they went to work. We worked for an hour before the practice session and maybe got it about 60% there when the crew chief told us we had to stop working. I think it was because of the drug test. Yes, although Travis had done a drug test, NASCAR had not gotten the results in time, apparently. Yet another unplanned issue with Travis McCllough's Sonoma weekend was the day and delivery of his drug testing results in time to compete at the track. We did our drug test within the time allotted a week before the race, said McCllough. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would go by. NASCAR was very upfront with me that they were trying, but they weren't getting the results. It might have been a machine issue at the lab, but they didn't get it in time. On Monday after the race, McCllough finally received his drug test, obviously posting negative results, with Travis wanting to clear his name, as some people put that to blame for him missing the race. McCllough would say, I've never even touched a drug in my life. Being in racing this long, I never did. I needed to clear my name on social media. McCllough was not the only one who was affected by this. As you guys know, Colin Garrett was actually scheduled to drive the 30 truck. He had the same exact issue. He couldn't drive the truck they had to call in road ringer Josh Bilicki to drive the truck because Colin, who was there, suited up, all ready to go, his drug test didn't come in time. We all know Colin was cleared too. He could have driven, but didn't come in time. So continuing on the article, as it became apparent that the Travis McCllough, the driver, would not be able to compete in the race, Travis McCllough, the businessman, set out to get his sponsors some track time with a clear driver despite the separate issue with the drug test. Said McCllough, no matter who you had, the 47 truck never fired. No one would have been able to drive it. While the fellow 46 team truck, the 46, was able to make tech and make some laps, it is believed that Mason Felipe stepped out of the ride and was quickly replaced by Stephon Parsons, who was originally supposed to drive the 47, but after seeing that truck was not ready, then I believe put him in the 46. From in-car audio heard on the pace laps, there was already engine issues with the truck, and within the first stage, Brockbeard had reported that the 46 was out with an oil cooler issue. Again, while not ideal, Travis McCllough continued to make strides to contact Tim Vines in an effort to get a driver in the 47 truck if it could be made race ready. But no such driver nor race ready truck could come to pass. This is where the story does get a little interesting. I'll worry about me later. Just put the truck on the track, please. But it just couldn't happen. Every time we mentioned to Vines about getting a driver while at the track on Friday, he said, let's talk about it on Monday. I've heard things about the engine and other stuff from other guys before and after the fact, and nothing about this whole deal made sense. I don't know how they could have delivered this truck the way it was. We paid for the truck, it wasn't ready, and we've been told we're not getting our money back. Vines was very adamant about that yesterday. He said, we delivered a truck, you couldn't drive it. I said that the truck wouldn't run, and he told me that's not my problem. Yes, you heard that right. Vines openly told him, he said, that's not my problem that the truck wouldn't run. With all due respect, it is your problem. You own the truck. So that's the part that honestly frustrated me and a lot of other people. So yeah, continuing, we had conversations with Ryan Bell, who was the crew chief, along with Tim Vines, and it got pretty heated apparently. We're not dumb individuals. We set up our own cars on our own team, and when we called out G2G on what's wrong, they weren't going to listen. Matthew Burrows did report that G2G has been reached by tehben.com, the owner of this article, but at the time of the writing has not yet responded. As you might expect, Travis McCllough and his associates are exploring legal options on what to do next. But even under ideal circumstances, resolutions will take time. In the here and now, however, this becomes a matter for the NASCAR community at large. For its seemingly grand scale, this racing community is fairly tight-knit, and people in and around the garages and shops talk to each other. Unconfirmed statements are circulating about the few of G2G rental commitments being dissolved, and the future of G2G racing looks very much in doubt to some things as this and in response to Sonoma. What once was the careful backroom mutterings of jaded industry lifers has become the opportunity to kind of talking point on a greater public stage. Travis McCllough, who we've seen just last week, relatively unknown face in NASCAR racing, is now being approached at the seat time for more opportunities in 2022. I've had over 100 calls since this Friday, said McCllough, and has been in some talks about the problems with G2G and about other opportunities as well, and talks with their own brothers and a couple of other teams. You find out who to trust in this business the hard way sometimes, but that's what makes you stronger. I don't like what happened, but this might just work out better. Let's give a shout out to Travis's sponsors, California Tank and Pneumatics, Vernon Trucking, California Rock and Ready Mix, MTFX Graphics, R&R Truck and Repair. Again, shout out to Matthew Burrows for that great article. And as you guys know, man, G2G, very sketchy right there, and if you guys were see me looking down real quick on my phone right here, is because Tim Vines, who does have a personal NASCAR Twitter account, actually did post an update on Twitter, and I have it right here. He would later delete it, but I have it screenshotted right here, and I want to read it off for you guys real quick if you give me the time. Do have some ads to get through, and I have it right here. Now, you guys can't unfortunately read it, but I will read it word for word. This is from Tim Vines NASCAR on Twitter, which he would later delete. I love when kids come to NASCAR from late model or even less thinking they know what's up and talk complete crap after they wait till the week of the race to take a drug test and it doesn't come back in time for a race and NASCAR throws them out of the track. Good talk, smiley face. With all due respect, that coming from a truck owner, in my opinion, is definitely a little unprofessional. Not shocked that he would delete the tweet later after. But this whole situation, man, Brockbeard was kind of the first reported on the whole weekend that the 47 truck, you could just tell by pictures. It did not look ready one bit, not even close to being ready. I seen people in the chat. Are we sure that's Vine's actual Twitter account? Yes, it is. Here, let me pull it back up. Hopefully, you guys can see this. I'm trying to post it a little best I can. Yeah, my camera just can't pick it up. But you can go check it out on social media. That is Tim's account. That is not a parody account. I just feel bad for Travis and all this, but you look at the pictures, there's no way that truck was getting ready in time. And, Josh Williams, driver of 78 car, even made a point. You could look at the brake ducts they made on that car. There's no way that truck probably would have even made it that far in the race anyway. So just an overall bad deal for everyone. And even then, I don't want any of this to come off as Tim Vines is a bad person. It's just the whole deal doesn't make G2G look good at all. This is not meant to trash Tim Vines. Not at all. I want to make that clear. But it definitely doesn't put Tim Vines himself and G2G Racing in a good light. It really kind of sours the team. Despite this, however, Tim Vines would later go on to post on social media some driver updates that Chase Janes will drive the truck at Nashville, and Brennan Poole will return at Pocono, and Caden Honeycutt will return for 3 races with the 47 at Nashville and then maybe the 46 at 2 more races. So despite all this, G2G Racing will continue this season. But, like I said, guys, a weekend like this is definitely not what G2G Racing needs. And I have some friends who work for G2G Racing. I don't want this to come off in a negative way. I want to get it out there because this was a big situation that happened in the low-budget team community that I feel like deserves to be talked about. And it's something that, unfortunately happens a lot in this business. Crew Chief Ryan Bell of the 47 truck did make it public, saying that these statements were false, that it's only a one-sided story. Big Ryan is a good friend of mine. I see him at the track. He works for Mike Harmon. He's a hard-working man. He did reach out to Matthew Burrows, and once we get a statement from Ryan Bell, you be sure, guys, I will post it right here for you guys, and I will read it word for word because I want to make sure we got Travis's side of the story, but I know you guys, you guys have your opinions on Tim, and that's respectful, but we do deserve to hear both sides of the story. That is fair. So as much as we've heard Travis's story, I want to hear Ryan's story, and more importantly, if we ever get it, Tim Vines' story as well. So definitely a weird situation that really overshadowed a lot of the truck race. Another part of the story that I hope we can get, why did Mason Felipe step away from the 46 truck? That's another story I hope we get answered. And, just for the 46 truck to blow up in 9 laps, just a horrible weekend for everyone. So, again, it's not meant to trash anyone. It's just a big situation that really rocked the Truck Series garage and definitely didn't shine G2G and Tim Vines in a great limelight. But I really hope that they can recover because, again, I don't ever want any team to fail. And I've made that clear for ARCA, Xfinity, Cup, and Truck. I don't want anyone to fail in this series. I want the 46 team to be successful. It's just sometimes you got some shady, sketchy crap that comes on, and, you got your opinions. But I just want to make that clear. I don't want anyone to fail. I don't want any drivers to get scammed. I don't want this team to fail. I don't want any crew members to lose money. I want all of this to work out. And I wish G2G and Tim Vines nothing but the best of luck in the future. And I hope that all this can be resolved in a positive manner. Oh, God, man, that was a big portion, guys. But yeah, G2G Racing, any updates we get, I will be sure to get that out immediately, whether it be on a live podcast or in a separate video recording that I will update later. If you guys want to check out any pictures of the 47 truck, you can go to Matthew Burrow's Twitter account. You can go to any Travis McCullough's Twitter account or Brock Beard's Twitter account. You'll have plenty of pictures of those trucks on those Twitter accounts where you can see for yourself. All you do is have to just look closely. That truck, there is no way that 47 was getting out on the track for at least another day. No way. Anyway, guys, we have our last portion of the show here. Again, I thank you guys. We got up to 10 people watching. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. We are now in our Backmarker Battles portion of the show. Where we talk about some of the Backmarker Battles that, is maybe not talked about enough. For instance, in the Truck Series, the top 20 owners bonus for Xfinity, the top 20 owners bonus, and the top 30 10K owners bonus. And in the Cup Series, it's the top 33 charter battle and the top 25 end-of-year $1 million cup bonus. Anyway, guys, and of course for ARCA, in the ARCA series, in the lower divisions, it's the top 15 owners, I believe, who get paid. Top 15 or top 20. In the ARCA West series right now, Vince Little is holding 15th over the 43 of Murray Gallagher, with Andrew Tuttle, Steve McGowan, and the 31 of the Pedroncelli team holding that off. As for the East standings, it's only being held by one driver right now. I believe it's the Peterson team. I know Smith is about 13th in points there. Yeah, he is. As for the owner points in the main division, the top 20, of course, 20th right now is the 44 of John Ferrier. 19th is the 55 of the Venerini car, and 18th will be the 06 of Peterson. The cars looking into the top 20 right now for ARCA are the 81 of Coy Gibbs and the 73 of Andy Jankowiak. But again, the teams that are right now 18th through 22nd on that ARCA list are definitely not full-time teams, part-time teams trying to get in. So now we got the quick ARCA portion. I mean, we go over that more in depthly when we have an actual video, but the main portion is the NASCAR bonuses we're going to talk about here. So pulling up the standings right now, obviously Xfinity hasn't raced in a couple weeks, but we're still going to talk about them, of course. So like I said, Truck Series most recently raced in Sonoma. A lot of backmarkers had some good and bad runs. Definitely was an interesting race as usual. Some teams have good runs. Some teams had bad runs. The teams that struggled the most in that race, like I said, was the 46. The 43 had Brad Perez, the Info Music. Was that the name of the band? Man, can anyone shout me what was the name of the band on the 43 truck? Because that truck was just so cool. Nate, one of the people in the band, is a good friend of mine. The whole deal was so cool, but the 43, however, is still struggling for owner points despite the solid finish. The 43 is still only 36th in points. The 62 is only 35th. The 9 is 34th, and we will have 2 DNQs this weekend at Knoxville. I don't know who to call for the DNQs, but it's definitely going to be close, and I will definitely be live tweeting while I'm there tomorrow. But as for the bonus right now, 18th is the Young's Motorsport 02 truck. Now, again, you have to be running full-time to be eligible for the bonus. So despite being 19th in points, the 75 Henderson Motorsports truck is not available. Therefore, that moves the 56 truck up to 19th, and that would actually make the 91 of McAnally on the bubble in 20th. Since AM Racing withdrew from Sonoma, they are also no longer eligible for the bubble, which makes the 45 of Nice Motorsports the next truck available, and then the 24 for GMS. Close battle there. It's about 20 points in between. And as we know, guys, Knoxville has definitely been one of the more chaotic races of the season and could definitely affect those point standings. And some of those teams, I Set My Friends on Fire was the band on the 43 truck. Thank you. I forgot the band name. Sorry, guys. My dog's right here. Baby Josie Wales is my dog, and she won't go away. But yeah, I Set My Friends on Fire was named at 43. Thank you. Forgot about that for a second. But I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm concerned for the 43 of Devin Rouse this weekend. 36 in the points. The 43 has not really shown good speed. I'd be a little concerned for the 43 this weekend, that's for sure. But yeah, that was the truck bonus. Again, the teams to watch out for that bonus would definitely be the 6102, the 56, the 91, and the 45. And I'll even throw in the 24. Watch those teams specifically this weekend because that bonus will be tightly contested for. Excuse me. Our next bonus is the top 30 10K bonus. Now, as we know, the Xfinity Series has been ultra competitive this season. Right now, holding 29th, or I guess you could say 28th, is the 35 of Emmerling Gase Motorsports. The 5 of BJ McLeod Motorsports, which is finally in the top 30 for the last 2 races, is sitting 29th. On the bubble is the 08 SS Greenlight Racing entry. Now, as you guys know, they bought owner points, but they failed to qualify a couple races, and that set the team back. Some bad runs and DNQs have set the team back. They are now on the bubble, 30th place. That 08 team could start to fall once again. Sitting outside the bubble, just outside, is the 4 of JD Motorsports and the 91 of DGM Racing. The point swing is only from 28th to 32nd is only 17 points. So come the next Xfinity race at Nashville, that shows you just how close it's going to be. As for the top 20 end of the year bonus right now, 18th is Richard Childress. Yes, Richard Childress entry, surprisingly. Sheldon Creed, the 2 cars, all the way down in 18th. Sam Hunt Racing's 26 car is in 19th. DGM Racing's 36 is in 20th. Jordan Anderson's 31 is in 21st. And Big Machine Racing is 22nd. DGM Racing's 36 is currently on the bubble by a solid 15 points. Jordan Anderson's team, of course, with the huge launch in points after their top 5 run at Portland. Some other shout-outs to MBM Motorsports and JJ Ailey for getting that top 10 as well. Man, that was a gutsy call to stay on slicks, but glad MBM is doing solid this season. As we move into the final portion of Backmarker Battles, guys, again, I still thank you guys for joining me. Final portion of the show here, our top 33 charter battle. Now, it was documented that last year, the 51 car. Well, we still technically have a charter battle going on this year. It's not going to be as tightly contested. The 7 of Spire Motorsports charter is up for grabs should they not finish inside the top 33. But they are currently 32nd in owner points right now, but hold a very, very comfortable lead over 34th, well over 25 points ahead in the points. And ironically enough, it's their teammate. The 51 of Rick Ware Racing is the lowest car in owner points, and then it goes to 78, 77, and then the 15 Rick Ware entry is the one that's on the bubble, and then it goes to the 7 of Spire. So there's your charter battle there. I doubt the 7 is going to have to worry. They have more than enough speed in that car to not worry about losing their charter, but we will keep up to date on that because you never know what can happen this season, obviously. As for the top 25 bonus, the teams involved in this may shock you. 23rd right now is Colleague Racing's number 31. 24th is the 47 of JTG Doherty. 25th is the 2311 of 23 car Bubba Wallace. 26th is the 42 Ty Dillon Petty GMS. And 27th is the 41 of Stuart Haas. Some other notable teams, 28th is the Wood Brothers. 30th is RFK 6 car. And 31st is the number 16 colleague entry. So some pretty notable teams outside of this top 25 bonus and right there in the bubble of the top 25 bonus. The 31 is the one that's sitting the best right now with a 26-point lead, whereas the 47 just sits at a 4-point lead. Now, obviously, the 23 had an engine failure early at Sonoma, which relegated them to a poor finish. But they are on the bubble. 14 points behind in 26, though, is the 42 of Petty GMS, which will look to close in the coming weeks. And then, of course, 22 points behind is the 41 of Stuart Haas Racing. 2 years in a row, the 41 Stuart Haas Racing entry might not get that bonus. And honestly, that's a little embarrassing and really shows maybe that Cole Custer has just not had the seasons that we expected him to. Harrison Burton, his rookie season in Cup continues to be a struggle. They are over 40 points behind the bubble for that bonus. I really don't think they're going to get there. RFK, they're over 60 points behind. I think maybe with a win and some top 5 runs they could get there, but it's going to be close. The 16 colleague entry is over 70 points behind that bonus. They ain't getting that. You're not going to close that up. But yeah, so those are the battles that are going on in the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series, and ARCA Series that you guys may not know about. And I bring that to you guys almost every other week, sometimes every week, depends on, what the schedule is like for me and all. But wow, what are we, 81 minutes? Well, guys, I think I'm going to get out of your hairs for the night. I thank you guys just so much for joining me for 81 minutes live tonight. For all of you guys who joined me the entire time here, cannot thank you enough for your continued support of the podcast. Again, we just hit 312 subs. My birthday is July 2nd. I know it's a long shot, but if we could get to 500, that would be a great birthday present for me, or at least 400. So if you're a new viewer to the channel, please leave a like, please leave a subscription and a comment section. Check out all my other content videos. Check out the other podcasts. You guys make this happen. You guys are the best. And I look forward to bringing you guys more content tomorrow at Knoxville, where I will be helping out the 56 Hill Motorsports team again. It cannot be done without you guys. Thank you guys enough. Like I said, like, subscribe for more. Follow me on social media. And we'll catch you guys here next. I don't know what day we're going to be doing the podcast, but you guys know I'll be here next week with the ARCA Racing podcast with Backmarker Battles. And of course, if any updates with the G2G situation come forward, I will surely post those as well. You guys have a good rest of your Thursday night. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's Friday. It's the fun day of the week. And we'll catch you all real soon. And again, you guys have a good night. Take care. See y'all later. Colby, signing off.